Welcome back to the Russell Show. And today I'm just going to rant. I'm going to rant today. I'm pretty pissed off at the state of America right now. Um, we're at war. We're at war, and we should not be at war right now. We should not be in Iran right now. It's an absolute shame that we are in a war that most of the people in this country do not support. But today's rant is really about choosing the lesser of two evils. And I'll start with where I began. My political journey began with the Democratic Party. And I voted Democrat my entire life. My entire life. And I never questioned it. And I let the policies of the Democratic Party kind of guide my moral compass as opposed to my moral compass guiding where I voted. And that stopped right around George Floyd, Breonna Taylor. That really stopped when Black Lives Matter entered the scene. And it stopped there because it began to shift rather there because I started to see some flaws with the Democratic Party because we were really supporting the Black Lives Matter movement. And I thought that the Black Lives Matter movement was a sham. It didn't make sense to me. And it didn't make sense because if in fact Black lives do matter, then our attention as a people who go by Black Lives Matter should be focused on where Black lives are being lost. But that wasn't the case. And I was out there during George Floyd protesting. I was out there during Breonna Taylor protesting. And I came home one night after protesting and just started scrolling through the news. And then I looked in Chicago, a couple people shot and killed, Philadelphia, New York, or just wherever. I remember there were probably 5 or 6 people that died during that time of protesting. And they were killed by black people. And they were black people that got killed. And we heard nothing. I said, surely Black Lives Matter, the organization that is focused on the value of Black lives, is going to bring attention to the lives that were just lost while we're protesting for Breonna Taylor, while we're protesting for George Floyd, while we're protesting for Mike Brown. I wasn't protesting for Mike Brown. He was a traitor to his community. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Um, but you heard nothing, absolutely nothing. And then you talk to people about it and they say, oh, well, this organization is strictly about injustices of the police killing black people when black lives are lost at the hand of police. And then I started to think like if in fact there were no more police shootings, how much would that move the needle of black lives being lost? And that number, I think at the time it was like 0.0001 or something crazy, something minuscule like that. So if in fact, if police didn't kill one more black person, the number of lives lost as a percentage does not change at all, except for the 0.0011 100th, 1/1000th. So clearly that shit is a sham. And I was like, oh man, we've been had, been hoodwinked, bamboozled, led astray. And so I stopped supporting, for sure. I still support George Floyd because that man was murdered. And Breonna Taylor, she was shot and killed. And she needs to be walking this earth today. But the truth of the matter is that if Black Lives Matter as an organization, as a title, as a phrase, if their mantra doesn't cover all Black lives that were lost, then I can't support it. I can't support it. And then another thing that just did not make sense to me, and this all really started to heat up during Black Lives Matter because Black Lives Matter is really a transgender police brutality against black people organization. And then you start to see a lot of noise about the transgender community. And I have nothing against the transgender community. Please believe me. I have nothing. I want nothing but the best for them. I want them to be able to pursue love, life, happiness, their wildest dreams. I want them to be able to pursue it. But you can't be in women's sports. You can't. And you can't be in women's bathrooms either. You can't. And it doesn't make sense to me that as a party, your entire platform is about transgender rights, specifically women's sports and being able to use a public restroom. That is not, that is the opposite of the sex that they were assigned at birth, as they say. And now we got to say they, them. Now you got to choose your pronouns, all of that. That is just crazy to me. And I can't participate. I cannot participate in that. So it just started to turn me off. The light switch just started getting dimmer and dimmer and dimmer and dimmer for the Democratic Party. And then I look at the welfare state, and I've been working my whole life. I've obviously been laid off before, but generally speaking, I've always worked. I've never gotten government assistance, and I'm not saying that people don't need government assistance, but those that need it should have it. And those that can go to work, you need to take your ass to work. If I gotta go to work, you gotta go to work. It's something to be said when there's generations of families on public assistance, generations of people on Section 8, generations of people on food vouchers, generations of people, SNAP benefits, which is food vouchers, but just on public aid. While the rest of us have to go to work and foot your bill, you out of your damn mind. I ain't going for that. I am not going for that. And then the Democratic Party says, well, that's just a small percentage. Not that I can tell. Not that I can tell. Now, let's be clear. If you're elderly and you need it and you can't work, then I want you to have all the support that you need. If you're disabled, I want you to have all the support that you need. If you're a veteran, let's be clear. I'm in LA, and the homeless population, there's a high number of veterans in there. If we can't take care of our veterans, then we can't take care of anybody else, right? If you need the help, then you deserve the help. But if you can go to work, then your ass needs to go to work just like I do, just like the rest of us do. Doesn't make sense to me. And so I said all that to say that the Democratic Party seems to, at least their platform, seemed to be more focused on the fringes of society than that of the whole, than that of the regular, average, everyday working person who's paying their taxes, who's going to work, who's providing for their children, who's putting them through college, who's pursuing their wildest dreams. And that's not what the Democratic Party is for. That's who they said they're for, but in practice, That's not who the Democratic Party has been for in practice. And I'm sick about it. I'm mad as hell about it. I can keep going. Let's talk about taxes. Why am I in Southern California? Why is gas hit $6 today? Why? Why do we have the highest tax rate in the entire country? Why? Chicago, same thing. Why? New York, same thing. Why? All of these blue cities, states, counties, high taxes. Why? Don't you care about the people? Just think about it. Your politicians put things in place to take care of the people who are actually going out and putting in the work to financially support the government. How about that? Now, let's move to the Republican Party. I moved to the middle, independent party, but obviously this is a two-party system. So you got to vote one or the other. And I told myself I'll never vote Democrat again, under no circumstances. And actually, my vote for the Republican Party wasn't a vote for, it was a vote against. And as I promise you, it's a lot of people out there whose vote was not a vote for the Republican Party, but a vote against. It was an indictment against the Democratic Party. And it's a damn shame that it has to be that way. But it has to be that way. But I look at the Republican Party, and I agree with the Republican Party on taxes. I agree with the Republican Party, when it comes to abortion. Let me speak on the abortion thing real quick. Why is it that black people, the black community, has the highest abortion rate in the country? Fact check me if I'm wrong. But we have the highest abortion rate in the country, and we're 13% of the population. And if we're 13% of the population, that's men, women, and children, right? So the people who are having the abortion are an even smaller part of that. So maybe 5% of the community is having abortions. Maybe less than that. But they're most of the abortions. Excuse me. And so the abortion issue is not a wedge issue for me. It's not something that's going to decide one way or the other. But I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem with it, except in situations where there are rape, incest, and the health of the mother is in jeopardy. In those extenuating circumstances, there has to be exceptions. Other than that, if you just go out, have sex, you don't want the child, and because of that, you're going to go get an abortion, I ain't going for that. And that is most of abortions. I don't know that to be a fact, but I would just surmise that that is the case. But the immigration issue is really, really, really weighed on my heart, because I was pissed when Joe Biden just opened the borders to let these I hate to say illegal aliens, right? I would never say that, but these illegal immigrants into the country. And it's not the fact that they broke the law. It's the fact that they're here and we can't afford it. That's the point. I don't care where they came from. I could care less. But can we afford it? No. Why can't we afford it? We can't afford it because we can't afford to take care of our own people. And if you can't afford to take care of your own people, then you can't afford to take care of other people. It's almost the equivalent of you having a house with a bunch of kids, and you're going to feed the neighbor first. Matter of fact, you're going to invite the neighbor into your house, give them your children's bed, and let them stay as long as they want while your children sleep on the floor. and while your children starve and they eat. It's the equivalent. It's the same thing. It's nothing different. And so, if we can't take care of our own people, then we don't have the resources to take care of those people who just got here. That being said, there are people who have been here for generations. There are people who've been here for decades. For those people, we have to have a path to citizenship. Why don't we have a path to citizenship yet? Like a legitimate path to citizenship. And I'm not talking about the normal process, the normal citizenship process. No, a special, a special program outside of DACA meant specifically to bring these people who have been here forever, who are part of this society, who are part of the fabric of America, bring them into the fold legally so that they can be citizenship, so that they can be citizens and they can participate freely without having to worry about being deported. That shit is wrong. And then the way that they executed it was just wrong. Just snatching people up off the street. Just profiling people because you look like you don't belong here. You can't do that. You cannot do that. You can do that, actually, because they are doing it and they have done it. But the truth of the matter is, you should not be allowed to do it. And so we need a path to citizenship. But the way they executed that shit was wrong. And it's still wrong. And it needed to be done much more gentler. Gentler, is that a word? I don't know. Gently, excuse me. Needed to be done more gently. And now, the whole point of this rant is that we are in Iran fighting a war that we don't need to fight. Why don't we need to fight it? We don't need to fight it because Iran has never caused harm to an American on American soil. Now, foreign soil, I can't speak to that. I'd have to look that up. But on American soil, we are safe from Iran. And I didn't even have an issue with you going in there for during the 12-day war when you bombed the hell out of Iran, their nuclear sites. I didn't have a problem with that at all. But now you're in there, and I don't want to say I don't have a problem with you being in there because the Iranian people, it appears at least on TV, and it may be propaganda. I don't know, but it appears that they were miserable under Ayatollah Khomeini, and so I'm glad that they had a chance at freedom. Now his son's in there, but that's another story for another day, another conversation for another day. But the point is that if we were going in there because we were at jeopardy on American soil, then I'm all for it. Protect the homeland. America first. I'm an American. America first. Protect the homeland. But that's not why we went in there. At least it appears that that's not why we were in there. And if it is, if that is the reason that we went in there, you have not done a great job communicating that. And you need to communicate better. But I'm certain that we went in there for another country. And I have love for the Jewish people. I have love because they're human beings. And I love human beings. Compassion for human beings. Everybody deserves the right to be free and to live peacefully. But that's not our fight. That is not our fight. And at least give the American people the choice to decide if that is our fight. Don't lie to us. That's the point. Do not lie to us. It's not that you're in there. You went in there under the auspices that we are in danger, but we're really not. That's the point. And I know that as in leadership and in circles where there's privileged information, they know more than the average person does. But you need to convince us. We need to be convinced, and we're not convinced. And as a matter of fact, we're convinced that the opposite is true, that we're in there for another people, another country. And as I said, I'm all for the Jewish people, but I'm not for the Israeli government. Absolutely not. And I'm American. I'm America first. That's the point. I am America first. And we should all be America first. And we should not, just for the sake of allegiances, make some shit up in our heads to tell ourselves or tell each other that we're traitors because we don't support that. It should be this simple. Is America in danger? Yes. All right, we go to war. Is America in imminent danger? No. All right, we don't go to war. That's it. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. And I'll even meet you in the middle. At least give us a choice if America's not in danger. Give us a choice if we're going to spend our tax money that we go to work every day and work hard for every day to pay for roads and safety and things of that nature. Give us a choice to decide where our money goes. But you haven't done that. And because of that, I would deem that decision was an evil decision. It was evil. And so now, to bring it back to the original point, we have to choose a lesser of two evils, unfortunately. And I can't tell you which evil is greater or which evil is lesser than. But I know for sure I'm going to have a hard time voting for anybody who claims that they're America first and they're aligned or support the actions that are taking place in Iran right now. Because that's not America first. It's not America first. It's clear it's not America first. And Americans are tired and Americans are fed up. I would gather to say half of the country is Democrat, half is Republicans. Okay, so let's take that. And then you split the Republicans in half, and half of those people on the Republican side are pissed as well. So you got 60 to 70% of people who don't want us in Iran because they know it's about something else. Our gas prices have gone up. Inflation in the grocery stores are about to boom for sure. Our safety is now at risk because Joe Biden let all these people in here, and I'm sure some of those people were from these countries that wish to do us harm. And so you probably got sleeper cells here who are just waiting for the right moment to harm an American citizen or citizens. Put us in harm's way. And that's some evil shit. And Democrats, you have foregone all morality. That's some evil shit. But unfortunately, we have to choose the lesser of two evils. The choice is yours. The choice is yours. Thank you for taking the time out of your day. Like, subscribe, share, comment, and we'll see you real soon.